I'm making my second cup of coffee for the day and it's not even noon yet. I literally feel like I could chug 5 cups of coffee and it probably still would not do anything. That's where we're at right now. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about something and I don't think I'm actually going to be able to post this on TikTok because of how restricted things and topics are on TikTok. So I'm probably just going to leave this here. But I get a lot of messages from others asking me about vaccines, about circumcision, about birth, about just pregnancy in general. I get a lot of messages and I love that. So if you ever hesitate on messaging me, please don't. I genuinely love that people look at me and see that I'm obviously passionate about all these things and think to message me and talk to me about them. So I really don't mind at all. But one of the things was, what vaccines do you not get and why? So I just thought I would make a little video about it and just kind of talk about why I decided to not vaccinate, or what started the whole thing. So basically, I got this like gut feeling when my daughter was a baby, my second born. And I honestly think that gut feeling may have stemmed from the COVID situation. I honestly think I'm not the only one whose eyes kind of opened up more around that time. But I just started having this gut feeling, and then every appointment that she was supposed to go and get her vaccines, for some reason different every time, it was put off. Honestly, every time it got put off, I felt relieved, which was never like me. I was never an anti-vaxxer. My oldest daughter is vaccinated up until her 4-year-old vaccines, and I had no problem getting them. I thought even if there were small side effects or autism, that I would potentially rather that than my child get a disease and die. And so, no questions, I followed the doctor's recommendations and I got my vaccines for my children. So when I started feeling like relief and worried and just had this off feeling about getting vaccines, that was like a red flag to me, because why? I never had this issue before. I never felt this way. And so that kind of led me into starting to dig a little deep. Mind you, I was pregnant with my third child at this time. Now, when I did have my third child, I did give her the vitamin K and the Hep B in the hospital. One, I did feel kind of bullied into it, so I just minutes postpartum, everything was just very overwhelming, and so I did consent to do it. I do regret it, but I also don't think at that time, because that was around the time that I had just started my research, that I was really confident in fully sticking up for myself. Those are the only 2 vaccines that she got, though. She never got any more after that. We went to her first pediatrician appointment. I told them that I wanted to stop vaccines for all of my children, and that I was doing research, and so as of right now, I was declining, and so that was fine. The situation with my 4th baby is a whole other story that is actually insane, and the biggest reason that if I ever had a 5th child, that I would do anything that I possibly could to not give birth in a hospital ever again. So anyway, when I started my research and I started with the inserts, and I was just in shock. Research for vaccines is hard. There's a lot of mixed things, and there's a lot hidden, and there's even a lot that our doctors don't even know. You really kind of have to break everything up to really get the full picture. So research, no, I'm not talking about my Facebook group research that everyone seems to say, oh, you're going by your Facebook group research or Candace Owens. No, there's a lot more to it. But also, Candace Owens did break it down very well. I did watch all of her stuff, and all of her stuff is cited as well. So you can watch that, and it can help you even go deeper. But no, that is not just it. That is just the start. And it would be way too much to go into every single thing. But just the things that really stood out to me from the insert was one, the ingredients, obviously. So when you're looking at the ingredients and you're researching each ingredient separately and seeing what each one does, why they're in vaccines, what the combination of the vaccines together can do, is where you're really going to start putting it together. They use different things in the vaccines as a preservative, as something to create an immune response in the body to make the vaccine work. These are why certain ingredients are in the vaccines. But here's where it is troubling, is yes, they say, oh, it's just such a low amount, it's not going to affect you. That's not true. There is no proven study of any safe level of any type of heavy metals or any of these ingredients for the body. Not only that, but we are also given way more vaccines than they were back in the day. Our vaccine schedule has significantly increased. Not to mention, let's also contribute the foods that they're giving us, that are piled up with all of these added ingredients that are just not good for us. So we're just combining all of these things in our environment and into our bodies, and it's building up. So when you're injecting somebody with these heavy metals, and you also have polysorbate 80 as an ingredient in these vaccines, here's what I found when researching the ingredients all separately. Here is what I have concluded and put together, is that aluminum and polysorbate 80 together is extremely troubling, because you're injecting with these heavy metals, and then with polysorbate 80 is opening up the blood-brain barrier. So now these heavy levels are passing through to the brain. And what does aluminum do in the body? Why is it in the vaccines? What aluminum is doing is causing inflammation into the body to cause an immune response. So when you are now having polysorbate 80 open up that blood-brain barrier, and now these heavy metals are going into the brain, what is it causing in the brain? If it's causing inflammation in the rest of the body, then it's going to also do that in the brain. What does inflammation of the brain cause? What symptoms? Autism-like symptoms? Seizures? Delays? Many things. So is it that vaccines cause autism, or is it that vaccines are causing autism-like symptoms? Is it really autism, or is it that there's inflammation in the brain that is causing all of these symptoms? Because there have been many that have found that they, with detoxes and certain medications, have been able to kind of reverse the regression. So their child was completely on schedule and doing well and hitting all their milestones, and then all of a sudden they got vaccines and they just completely regressed. Is that autism? Or is there inflammation in the brain? There's also a lot more that goes into it, like genetics and how our body is getting rid of these toxins. Some people can get rid of them faster than others. Some people can't really get rid of them at all and need extra support and extra help. But our doctors aren't looking into our genetics that deep to know who needs extra help. So that was something that was like really huge to me and really stood out to me, was those things right there. That right there can show the amount of damage that it can do inside of someone's brain. And of course, on the insert, you go down the list of all the many side effects. There's not just one or two. There's a lot. And a lot of them are lifelong injuries. And then we take a look at the part of where the manufacturer put the different studies and trials, right? So they are given vaccines to pregnant women, and women who are breastfeeding. I was actually given a vaccine as soon as I had my very first child. In the hospital, they gave me one. They said that I was not showing immunity to, I believe it was mumps. So they gave me the MMR in the hospital, and I was breastfeeding. They didn't say anything about it. They just gave it to me. And now that I have read these inserts, there is no studies that show any safety for lactation whatsoever. A lot of them don't show studies for pregnancy either, and many vaccines are given during pregnancy, but the research is so limited. And I was researching and looking in the insert for the DTaP, and I was going further into the DTaP, and I found studies that prove that the DTaP does not stop or prevent contracting whooping cough or the transmission of whooping cough. So let's dive a little deeper into that. What does that mean? We're getting this vaccine to stop the spread, to stop ourselves from contracting it. So what does it mean if this vaccine is not doing either of those things? What the vaccine is doing is either giving you no symptoms at all and you are asymptomatic, or you have very minimal symptoms that you might not know that you are that sick or that you have whooping cough. You might just think you have a cold. And why that is so alarming and dangerous is that you have no idea that you have it and you are going around many other people and it's not stopping the transmission. So you don't know you're sick and you're going around all these people and you're spreading it. Many will say the unvaccinated are dangerous, but to me that's very dangerous. Oh, they can spread it to those with cancer or those with autoimmune diseases. Well, you know that you have it and you have symptoms and you're going to stay home. If you don't know you have it though, are you the ones that are spreading it in the first place? Also, the live vaccines are known to be able to spread. So is that what is actually spreading it? Because an unvaccinated person cannot initially spread something that they don't even have. So then how are these diseases getting spread? It also goes back to the mumps outbreak that was at a college of all vaccinated individuals. As adults, most of us also are not going and getting blood work done to see if we still are holding immunity to all of these things that we were vaccinated for as children. So most of us are walking around with no immunity whatsoever. And so despite the inserts and what they say, some may say, again, it's worth the risk for them over the disease. They don't want to risk death from a preventable disease that we have a vaccine for. And so I was still on edge. Well, what are the risks? Let's weigh out the risks. So there's chances of all of these things happening. Is it a higher chance of those happening versus contracting a deadly disease and dying? What are the risks here? So then I got into researching about the history of these diseases. And when researching the history of disease, what I found was that the rates of mortality dropped significantly before the vaccines were ever even introduced. So there's a huge reason why the rates of mortality dropped before the introduction of vaccines. But before I get into that, I also just want to say that these diseases aren't what we really think they are. And it would be way too much to go over each and every single one. Maybe I can break it up in parts if there's something that anyone wants more details on, but it is a lot of information. There's a really good book about it all that I can recommend, but it's just a lot. But the reason for the drop in mortality rate before the vaccinations were due to, 1, having access to clean water, 2, better hygiene, literally simply just learning how to wash your hands, and 3, healthcare. And I'm not talking about healthcare as in vaccines. I'm talking about access to healthcare when it is needed. I think modern medicine is amazing because there are times when you need it. There is a balance, but I do believe that it is overused, and now our bodies are struggling to be able to do what it's supposed to naturally. We're so used to suppressing our immune systems and our bodies that now we are seeing this insane rise in chronic illness across our country, especially in children. When I say access to healthcare, what I'm talking about is that some of these diseases, people weren't dying from these diseases. They were dying from dehydration, from pneumonia, from things that ended up escalating from being sick. So now that we have access to clean water, now that we have access to healthcare when it is needed, it has significantly dropped mortality. You get sick and you get dehydrated, you can go and get IV fluids, or you have access to water. You get sick and it gets to a point where escalating and maybe turning into something else. You can go to the doctors, you can get treatment for that, you can get antibiotics when it's needed. This is why there was a significant drop in mortality. It wasn't because of vaccines. But now what are we seeing with the rise of vaccines? The more vaccines we get, the more chronic illness we're having in our country because we're constantly suppressing our bodies. What do we do when we get a fever? What does the doctor tell us to do? Oh, make sure you suppress that fever. Make sure you take Tylenol. Make sure you take Motrin. And it is dropping our fever. The fever we get when we are sick is our natural immune response. That's what our body's supposed to do. That's how our body is killing off whatever is going on that is making us sick. Doing things naturally to control a fever instead of suppressing it is going to help your body heal faster. But we have been taught for many, many, many years now to just trust in the science of modern medicine instead of the science of the way our bodies actually work and what our bodies are actually supposed to do. Of course, there's going to be times that something may be worse and cause more issues and more side effects for one person versus the other. Yes, that's possible. I think that as a whole, if we change certain things, that we would be a lot healthier. I think we need to start by completely changing the whole narrative around science, that science is only modern medicine and that's not factual. Science can be anything. That herbs and plants can heal someone's body is science. The way our bodies naturally respond to certain things and the way our bodies work is science. There was a lot that went into leading up to my decision of deciding to not do vaccines anymore. And I would never recommend or push anyone else to stop vaccinating unless they did the research. If anyone messages me for sources, for information to just talk about it, I would gladly do so. But I also think that not vaccinating comes with a lot of other things, and you have to make that decision on your own. A lot of information on each thing, and I could talk about it all day. Honestly, I love to talk about it. But don't take this as any type of medical advice. It is not. I do not want you to just follow along and just do something because I'm talking about it. That is not my intentions here at all. I just genuinely like to talk about information that I know, and I get a lot of messages from others, and I like to talk about it with them too. I don't want to push anything on anyone that they are not comfortable with. I do not believe in doing that. I think we are all just trying our best as parents to do what we feel is best. I think everyone's mind is in the same place, even if we're making different decisions, and that is to keep our children healthy, no matter what that looks like for you. I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way or think that I am pushing you into something or judging you or advising you of any medical advice, because that is not what this is for. I'm just talking. I like to talk. Again, I love to hear from you guys. I love when you guys message me. Do not hesitate to message me about anything. I love to talk birth, my kids, mom life, vaccines, because I will literally talk about anything. I don't care, and there is no TMI. You can message me about anything and I will gladly talk to you.